On October 27, 2024, in Chicago's South Loop, a 36-year-old woman named Caitlin Tracey was found at the bottom of a 24-story stairwell in her estranged husband's high-rise condo. According to the Cook County Medical Examiner's initial report, her body was pulverized from the fall. Multiple fractures, internal injuries, and a severed foot. It wasn't a quiet end. 24 floors is a long drop, the kind where gravity takes over in seconds. But the pain lingers in the air long after. Caitlin didn't leave a note, and the scene didn't look like a choice she made alone. To understand the weight of this, we have to look at who Caitlin was, not just a name in a report, but a life built on drive and resilience. Caitlin Tracey, 36 at the time, was a tech executive, serving as the chief people officer at Newzo, an AI consultancy in Chicago. According to her LinkedIn profile and family statements shared in a People magazine article from October 2025, she grew up in New Buffalo, Michigan, with parents Monica and Andrew Tracy, who described her as a wonderful daughter, full of ambition. She had moved between Michigan and Chicago, navigating a career in tech while dealing with the unraveling of her marriage to Adam Beckerick. Caitlin was the kind of woman who balanced high-stakes meetings with the everyday. Someone who, as her mother Monica said in a victim impact statement at Beckerick's Michigan sentencing, made us all proud with her kindness and strength. Her career was a testament to that. According to reports in the Chicago Sun-Times from October 2025, Caitlin had climbed the ranks in the tech world, focusing on people operations at Newzo, a firm that specialized in AI solutions before it dissolved. Colleagues remembered her as sharp, collaborative, the one who made sure teams felt supported in a fast-paced industry. But behind the professional facade, her personal life was fracturing. Caitlin and Beckerick had been married for several years, but by 2023, the relationship had turned toxic. According to court documents from Berrien County, Michigan, filed in November 2023, Caitlin sought a protective order against him, detailing a pattern of abuse that started with words and escalated to physical violence. Imagine the toll of that fall. Not just the physical impact, but the final moment for someone who had spent months fighting for her safety. 24 floors means about 250 feet down. The body hitting concrete with force that shatters bones on contact. Organs rupturing from the deceleration. The medical examiner's report, as cited in the NY Post from October 2025, noted the severity. A severed foot, likely from hitting stairwell edges on the way down, and pulverized injuries that made identification challenging at first. But Caitlin was identified by her clothing and jewelry, items she wore that day. The brutality wasn't in the height alone. It was in the context. A woman who had called for help before, now silent forever. His background was professional, but the abuse allegations painted a different picture. According to the November 2023 protective order, Beckerick had a history of violence, strangling, head slamming, headlocks. Caitlin's 911 call from one incident, as reported in People, captured her fear. He's assaulted me before. The Michigan arrests in January and August 2024 added more. Beating her, bruising her, taking her phone during a call for help. Beckerick pleaded no contest to those DV charges on October 20, 2025, receiving 93 days in jail with credit for time served. At sentencing, he said, "I miss my wife every day. The human element in this is the contrast. A man with a career, but one who, according to Monica's statement, terrorized and stalked Caitlin, isolating her from support. Imagine the fear of answering the door, knowing he might be there. The kind of daily dread Caitlin lived with, as detailed in the protective order." The body was found around morning on October 27, 2024, at the bottom of the east stairwell. The medical examiner's full autopsy, referenced in the murder complaint, ruled it homicide, with signs she was thrown. No suicide note, no history of mental health issues for Caitlin. The condo at 1201 South Prairie Avenue is a luxury spot, but that stairwell became a crime scene. Police sealed it off, forensics teams collecting debris, fibers from her clothing, possible fingerprints on the railing. The fall's brutality is hard to ignore. From 24 floors, the body accelerates to over 100 MV. Impact like hitting water from a bridge, but on concrete. Caitlyn's family fought for her body, as Monica told people we wanted to bury her, but he contested it. They won, holding a funeral in Michigan. A drop like that doesn't just break bones. It shatters families, leaving questions like how a woman who fought back so many times ended up there. Caitlyn's protective order was a cry for help, but the system let it echo. In communities where abuse hides behind closed doors, it's the silence that kills first. This brutality, from the severed foot to the pulverized injuries, wasn't the beginning. It was the end of a road paved with ignored warnings. The protective order, the 911 call, the arrests, they all pointed to escalation, the kind that builds in shadows until it explodes. Now, to see how that pattern unfolded, let's trace the domestic violence history that led to that stairwell, the assaults that came before, and the system that didn't stop it in time. That stairwell in the South Loop wasn't the first sign of danger. It was the breaking point in a marriage that had been crumbling under years of control and violence. Caitlin Tracey's protective order from November 2023 wasn't just paperwork. It was her attempt to draw a line, to say enough after incidents that left her fearing for her life. According to the Berrien County court filing detailed in the NY Post from October 2025, Caitlyn described a pattern that started with arguments and escalated to physical assaults. Beckering strangling her until she couldn't breathe, slamming her head against kitchen cabinets, putting her in headlocks, and blocking doors to keep her from leaving. He terrorized me, she wrote in the petition, explaining how the abuse isolated her from friends and family, making every day a negotiation for safety. The order was granted, barring him from contact, but as her mother Monica later said in a victim impact statement to ABC7 Chicago, he didn't stop, he found ways around it. The escalation didn't happen overnight. It built over months, turning a relationship that once promised partnership into one defined by fear. Body cam footage from responding officers.
The screams of a husband charged with domestic abuse captured on police body camera video echo through a Berrien County, Michigan courtroom. Pinned to the floor by police officers, Adam Beckering wails for help as his wife, Caitlin Tracey, lays nearby on the bed in tears. This was August 19th, 2024.
Somebody called 911 and I heard you yelling for help.
It was Tracy who had called for help, pleading again for police intervention from a husband she'd sought protective orders against. A new Buffalo police officer testified it happened repeatedly. With agreement from a judge, these videos will now be the only chance for Caitlin Tracey to tell her story of alleged abuse.
She was afraid to be in the house alone because he had accosted her in every room in the house.
Beckering's defense attorney fought to withhold the body camera footage. 2 months after this chaotic arrest of Adam Beckering last August, Chicago police found Caitlin Tracey's body at the bottom of a stairwell in the South Loop building where her husband lives.
All of it came rushing back when her body was found at the bottom of that stairwell on October 27, 2024. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office didn't rule it a suicide right away. They called it undetermined.
The Cook County Medical Examiner ruled her manner of death undetermined. The report details multiple skull and rib fractures and a traumatic amputation of the right lower leg.
The absence of a note, the history of abuse, the timing just days after surveillance caught them together. It was the kind of case where the digital trail and witness statements filled in the gaps, turning a suspicious death into a homicide probe that spanned states and months. According to the arrest affidavit filed in Cook County, his device pinged at the condo until 11:15 p.m. October 24, then went silent. No calls, no text out. Caitlin's phone, found in her purse at the scene, had no outgoing activity after 9:30 p.m. that night. The stairwell door on the 24th floor showed a smudge, possibly from a push, and trace fibers from Caitlin's blouse snagged on the edge. On October 27, 2025, exactly 1 year after discovery, Cook County prosecutors filed the first-degree murder complaint against Adam Beckering, alleging he threw her over the 24th floor railing in a deliberate act that ended her life on October 25, 2024. According to the criminal complaint detailed in Fox 32 Chicago's October 28, 2025 coverage, the charge specifies knowing murder, with prosecutors citing the surveillance video from October 24 showing them together, the false missing persons report Beckerick filed the next day claiming no contact for a month, and the autopsy's confirmation of pre-fall injuries consistent with a struggle, finger mark bruises on her neck and arms that echoed the strangling described in her November 2023 protective order. Beckerick, already in Berrien County Jail in Michigan, serving his domestic violence sentence, was served the warrant via video link on October 28. His attorney, John Brayman, entered no plea at the initial hearing, calling the allegations inconsistencies in a tragic accident. The extradition process began immediately, with a hearing scheduled for December 2025 in Berrien County, as cross-state coordination ensures he faces Illinois justice once his 93-day Michigan term ends on January 3, 2026. The legal path forward is layered, starting with the Michigan proceedings that overlapped the murder charge. Just a week before the Illinois filing on October 20, 2025, Beckerick had pleaded no contest to 2 counts of domestic violence and guilty to contempt of court for the January and August 2024 incidents at Caitlyn's New Buffalo home, as reported by the Chicago Sun-Times on October 21. Judge John R. Holmes sentenced him to 93 days in jail concurrent with credit for time served, followed by 2 years of probation, dropping resisting arrest charges in the plea deal. During the hearing, Monica Tracy delivered a 15-minute victim impact statement that laid bare the emotional wreckage. He pushed into her life, then terrorized it, strangling her, beating her, taking her phone when she called for help, she said, her words captured in ABC7 Chicago's courtroom audio. Beckerick, in response, stated, "I miss my wife every day," a line that drew sharp rebuke from the judge, who noted the pattern of violations. The contempt charge stemmed from breaching his bond by contacting Caitlyn post-order. No trial occurred in Michigan. The plea avoided reliving the body cam footage, ruled admissible in July 2024, which showed Caitlyn sobbing on the floor, bruises fresh as officers cuffed a raging Beckerick. In Illinois, the murder case moves to Cook County Circuit Court under state's attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke, who has prioritized domestic violence prosecutions since taking office. According to a statement from her office quoted in WGN-TV on October 28, 2025, this charge honors Caitlyn's memory and sends a message. Abuse ends in accountability. The complaint lists aggravating factors: the prior DV convictions, the false report designed to deflect suspicion, and seeks no bail upon extradition, citing flight risk from his attorney background. Brayman has filed preliminary motions for discovery, requesting full access to the stairwell forensics, railing fibers matching Caitlyn's blouse, partial prints from Beckerick's hand, and the recovered laptop texts like "We need to talk, don't run" from October 23. A status hearing is set for January 10, 2026. A ruling is expected in February 2026, potentially barring him from her estate. The aftermath rippled beyond courtrooms, stirring conversations in Chicago's tech and legal circles where Caitlyn thrived. No public vigils in Chicago's South Loop, but building residents like Bruce Plummer told Hoodline in October 2025, "It shook us. DV needs addressing here." The high-rise installed better stairwell cameras post-incident, a small change from resident petitions. Broader lessons emerged from Caitlyn's case. The gap in cross-state DV enforcement, where Michigan arrests didn't alert Chicago until too late. The Tribune's April 2025 editorial, "Chicago's Domestic Violence Crisis Hiding in Plain Sight," cited her as example. Orders dropped under defamation threats, victims silenced twice. It called for streamlined alerts, echoed in O'Neill Burke's office reforms, mandatory DV history checks in murder probes. For communities where abuse lurks in luxury condos, it's a wake-up. The severed foot wasn't just gore. It was a symbol of unchecked power. Aftermaths like this aren't tidy. They're the slow rebuild after the fall, where families turn grief into guardrails for others. Caitlyn's orders, calls, and courage weren't in vain. They lit paths for reforms, hotlines busier, scholarships funded. In a world where abuse crosses states silently, her story whispers. Speak, fight, connect. The legal wins ahead. They're for every woman reaching for the phone, hoping someone answers. Caitlin Tracey's legacy isn't in the stairwell. It's in the conversations sparked, the policies shifted, the lives alerted. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep raising awareness, one truth at a time. Stay safe out there, family.